On a freezing Christmas Eve, when the world seemed wrapped in glittering lights and cheerful laughter, there existed a quiet corner of the city where hope struggled to survive. Snow fell softly, blanketing the streets in white, but beneath that beauty lay stories of loneliness and pain. Daniel Hayes, a self-made millionaire and single father, walked briskly through the decorated streets, his expensive coat shielding him from the cold but not from the emptiness inside his heart. Since losing his wife 3 years ago, Christmas had become nothing more than a painful reminder of what once was. His only reason to keep going was his 6-year-old daughter, Emily, whose innocence still held onto the magic of the season. That evening, Emily insisted they go out to see the Christmas lights, her tiny hand gripping his tightly as they walked past glowing storefronts and cheerful crowds. But as they turned into a quieter street, something unexpected caught her attention. Sitting on the icy pavement was a young woman, her thin coat barely protecting her from the cold, her hands trembling as she tried to warm them with her breath. Beside her lay a small, worn-out bag, everything she owned in this world. Emily tugged at her father's hand and whispered, "Daddy, why is she sitting there? Doesn't she have a home?" Daniel hesitated, his instinct urging him to walk away like everyone else had. But something in his daughter's voice stopped him. It wasn't just curiosity, it was compassion. Reluctantly, he approached the woman. Up close, he noticed her pale face, tired eyes, and the quiet dignity she carried despite her situation. "Are you okay?" he asked, his tone guarded. The woman looked up, surprised that anyone had stopped. "I'm fine," she replied softly, though her shivering betrayed her words. Emily stepped forward before her father could say anything else and offered the woman her small woolen scarf. "You look cold. You can have this," she said with a gentle smile. The woman's eyes filled with tears, not from the cold, but from the unexpected kindness. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. Daniel felt something shift inside him, a crack in the wall he had built around his heart. For the first time in years, he saw the world not through his pain, but through his daughter's kindness. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sarah," she replied. As they spoke, Daniel learned that Sarah had lost her job months ago, followed by her home, and had been surviving on the streets ever since. She had no family, no one to turn to, and nowhere to go on a night that was supposed to be filled with warmth and love. Emily looked up at her father with pleading eyes. "Daddy, we can't leave her here. It's Christmas." Daniel hesitated. Inviting a stranger into his life wasn't something he did, not anymore. But as he looked at Sarah, shivering in the cold, and then at his daughter, whose heart was so full of kindness, he knew he had a choice to make. And sometimes, the smallest decisions change everything. "Come with us," he said finally. Sarah was stunned. I couldn't possibly, it's just for tonight," Daniel added, though deep down, he sensed it might mean more than that. Emily beamed with happiness as they led Sarah to their car. That night, something extraordinary happened. In a house that had been filled with silence and grief for years, laughter returned. Emily insisted Sarah join them for dinner, and for the first time in a long time, Daniel found himself smiling, not out of obligation, but genuinely. As the evening unfolded, Sarah shared her story, and Daniel saw her not as a homeless stranger, but as someone who had simply been dealt a cruel hand by life. And Sarah, in turn, saw a man who carried more pain than he let the world see. As midnight approached and Christmas Day began, Emily fell asleep on the couch, her head resting on Sarah's lap, completely at peace. Daniel watched the scene quietly, realizing that something profound had happened. This wasn't just about helping someone in need, it was about healing. It was about finding light in the darkest of places. In that moment, Daniel understood that miracles don't always come wrapped in perfection. Sometimes, they come disguised as strangers on a cold street, waiting for someone to care. The next morning, he made a decision that would change all their lives forever. He offered Sarah not just temporary shelter, but a chance to rebuild her life, a job, a place to stay, and most importantly, dignity. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she accepted, overwhelmed by gratitude. And as Emily woke up and ran to hug them both, the house felt different, warmer, brighter, alive again. That Christmas, none of them received expensive gifts, but they were given something far more valuable: hope, love, and a second chance. And sometimes, that's the greatest miracle of all. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of kindness, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because your support helps bring more meaningful and inspiring stories like this to life.